Hello everyone, welcome back to Odds Now for another Euro 2024 preview video. As you can tell by the title of this video, we're going to be focusing on the games taking place on Saturday the 15th of June. Currently recording the day before, a couple of hours before the tournament kicks off. We did a video for that yesterday for the opening match, Germany versus Scotland. You can go and check that out on the channel, as well as all of our previews we've done so far for individual group games, group stage games, and all of the individual markets too. You can also check out the written content we've produced over on oddsnow.com. Lots of in-depth stuff there to delve into, and we're producing more throughout the tournament, both on the channel and on the website. So be sure to check those out. I'm joined today on screen as well, you can see, by Matt. He's going to talk us through the three games taking place in Group B and, of course, the second game in Group A. First, we'll start there, Matt. I think the second game, like we said, Germany-Scotland taking place tonight. Hungary versus Switzerland, of course, we'll have eyes on how that game pans out. They kick off tomorrow at 2 o'clock in Germany, as we move into the first full day of the tournament. Do you want to talk us through that game first of all, Hungary versus Switzerland?
Yeah, well, good to be back, Brad. Yeah, little caveat. Obviously, as you mentioned, we're recording this before Germany-Scotland has actually kicked off. So I don't know how that game has panned out at the moment. We know Germany are strong favourites. So I think what we can safely assume is this is a really big game for both teams. Hungary and Switzerland are probably looking at this group thinking they have an outside chance of topping it, but realistically, second is the target, I would say. And this looks, certainly on the betting anyway, to be the matchup between second and third, potentially. Scotland may have something to say about that. And I may look like an idiot saying this if Scotland have stunned Germany in the first game, but there we are. Anyway, team news-wise, not a lot to report, really. Dominik Szoboszlai did limp out of Hungary's last friendly with Israel, but it turns out that was just precautionary. Marco Rossi says nothing to worry about there. And Switzerland do have a couple of slight worries, but Breland Bolo was back in training for them, so I expect him to feature. It's going to be pretty much full strength on both sides, which is what we like to see at the start of the tournament, at least. And there are a lot of squads who can't field their first choice lineup at the moment, so this is a rare commodity, I suppose, two full strength sides on shore. As I say, I think it's going to be a crucial game for both in their prospects of maybe not qualifying, because third place could still qualify here, but the higher up the group you finish, theoretically speaking, the easier draw you get in the knockouts. So the difference between finishing second and third could be pivotal here, between avoiding a big nation and, getting yourself a winnable last 16 tie. And I look at the betting market. Switzerland are towards really strong favourites. Hungary out at 5-2 underdogs there. And I've been looking for an angle in, and I just can't get myself away from Hungary to win this game at 5-2. Keep it simple, I think, because both sides will, have their reasons for thinking they can win this game. Switzerland have the more tournament pedigree and experience. They probably have the star names in Granit Xhaka, in Xherdan Shaqiri, in Manuel Akanji. But I think this Hungary team are a better unit, and they certainly have a better tactician overseeing them in Marco Rossi. Hungary's form coming into this tournament in competitive matches is outstanding. In their last 17 competitive matches, they've only lost 2, and they were to Italy twice in the Nations League, and they've had wins over the likes of England twice, Germany, Serbia twice, Poland. So they're proven against these top teams. And I think, especially Poland and Serbia, very similar in stature to Switzerland. So they'll hold absolutely no fears coming into this game. I think they have a really good set way of playing with that 3-4-2-1, dynamic wing backs, bombing up the flanks. And the striker is not well recognised in these shores, Varga, but he's had a fantastic season for Ferencváros in his homeland, scored 29 times, so he comes in full of confidence. Szoboszlai operating just behind him. I think we'll see Roland Shalai in there as well from the start, who was a real live wire for Freiburg, and he's got a goal in him as well. So a lot to like about this Hungary side. Switzerland limped through qualifying, 5 draws from 10 qualifiers, and they were in a pretty poor group as well, it must be said. Their only competitive win in their last 7 qualifiers came against Andorra, so that would be a real concern. Murat Yakin was probably lucky to keep his job. He was under a lot of pressure during that period, but the Swiss FA stood by him. And in the 4 friendlies, results have improved, it should be said, across March and across this month as well. He's gone back to basics, I think, a little bit, Yakin. 3 clean sheets in those 4 games, so I expect this match to be played in the realms of fine margins. It wouldn't surprise me if it was a 1-0 either way. But yeah, at the prices, I just have to be with Hungary. I just think they're much better drilled and come into this tournament in a much better frame of mind than Switzerland. Switzerland do have the match winners on the day, but I think if this plays out by the form book, then Hungary should win. And I'm really surprised that they're outsiders. So they would be my strongest bet of Saturday. And to be honest, in the match betting, I know it's only the second game, it's one of my strongest bets of the group stage. Hungary to beat Switzerland.
Yeah, I think we sang the praises of Hungary, didn't we, in our Group A video? And also, you expressed your concern, particularly around Switzerland, given what took place in their qualifying campaign. I think nothing really else needs to be said there. That concludes the opening matches of Group A. Now we move on to Group B, which I think many would agree is probably the strongest, perhaps the toughest to call of all the groups. Spain versus Croatia taking place in the first game at 5 o'clock, UK time on Saturday evening. What's your feeling around this game, first of all?
Well, it's certainly the group of glamour, if not the group of death. You've got three powerhouse nations in Spain, Italy, and Croatia in this group, alongside Albania, who, we'll come on to them in a minute when we cover their game with Italy. But they're no mugs either. It would be rude to just write them off given the way they're qualified. Focusing on these two sides, Spain are fifth favourites in the outright betting. They were fourth favourites when these markets were sort of formed about a month ago properly. But Portugal have since proved a popular selection amongst punters, and Spain have drifted out a little bit, just marginally out to 9-1 outright ahead of their first match. And I think that's probably because there's just a little bit of uncertainty over this Spain side. Some recognisable names, Rodri notably at the core of the midfield. There probably won't be a better midfielder in world football at the moment than Rodri. But he's going to have his work cut out, isn't he, against this Croatian midfield as well. So that's got to be a fascinating battle to watch. But just keeping on Spain, the manager is Luis de la Fuente. He's been promoted through the ranks, having overseen their youth teams. So they've gone down that more progressive approach, similar to what England have done with Gareth Southgate. This is after Luis Enrique failed to really get things going in charge of Spain. They did win the Nations League under De La Fuente last year, so that was impressive, but the performances weren't particularly impressive. Ironically, they played Italy and Croatia in the Nations League finals, so these three teams know each other extremely well. My worry about Spain is the youthfulness of this side and the lack of experience. They're going to be very reliant on young players. They're already missing a star young player in Gavi, who misses the tournament through injury, but they've also got Pedri, Lamine Yamal, the 16-year-old, who will become the European Championship's youngest ever player if he plays in this game, and Nico Williams as well, who's had a fantastic season in La Liga. So they have a lot of young talent, but the problem with relying on youth is they can be extremely inconsistent, and I worry in the knockout stages whether this could all go suddenly spectacularly wrong for Spain. This is a big first game for them. And, I always think with young squads, confidence is key. So a good start could really set them on their way to something special. But I definitely have reservations over them. Croatia are a huge price, meanwhile, in the outright market. They're up at 45-1 to win this tournament, which seems quite insulting for a team that have been to the semi-finals and final in the last two tournaments. I mean, they are tournament experts. They know how to get things done under the highest of pressure. Their midfield trio has a combined age of 99, but I still wouldn't say any of them are past their best. Okay, maybe Luka Modric, but he's past his best. He's still better than most people's peak. So this is a fantastic midfield trio. I can't wait to see how it unfolds in there, because Rodri and Pedri are more than capable of holding their own. That's where this game may be won or lost, I think. But Croatia have worries in other areas. Fullback is a particular area of concern. They're going to shunt Josko Gvardiol out to left back due to injuries there, which is, for Premier League supporters, you'll be used to seeing Gvardiol marauding down the left for Manchester City, but Croatia traditionally have deployed him at centre-back and allowed him to kind of dictate the play out from the back. So having to put Gvardiol out at left-back is a little bit of an issue for them. And there's some unrecognisable names as well at centre-half for most fans. And the line-leading striker, Budimir, is not exactly pulling up trees with Osasuna in La Liga. So that would be a worrying area. I worry about the amount of goals this team are going to score, but I definitely don't worry about their ability to control the tempo and to manage tournament football. They've had 7 clean sheets in their last 11. And the last time these two teams met, it was a 0-0 draw in the Nations League final. So all signs, given the caginess of first games in tournaments a lot of the time, point to this being a low-scoring, low-margin encounter. I actually think Croatia have enough to manage this game well and get a draw that won't harm either side in the terms of qualification. So I'm playing the draw here at 5-2. I think that's the best bet. But I also want to have half a point on it being 0-0 because nobody enjoys watching a snooze fest, but this could end up being a rather entertaining but tight 0-0 draw, I think. So I'm going to play a small stake on the 0-0, but the primary bet would be for this game to finish in a draw.
Yeah, I think there's a danger there could be a lot of draws in this group, given how competitive it is and fear of losing. And we'll move on to the final game of Saturday, the second game in Group B as well, which is, of course, you can see on the screen, Italy versus Albania, kicking off at 8 p.m. UK time on Saturday. Matt, what's your thoughts around this one?
It's a big game, this, for Italy, but also a big game for Albania, because if Albania are going to have any chance of progressing out of this group, it feels like they must take something from this match. I think there's been a danger in the build-up to this tournament of people just overlooking Albania, but Albania managed to qualify top of their group, which is the first time they've ever done so. And they're a really well-organised team. And just to add a little bit of edge to this match as well, 9 of their squad that are heading to Euro 2024 play their football in Italy. So that is another interesting dynamic, which just adds to this game. And there's layers to this game because Italy are a team that people have very contrasting opinions on. I've listened around the podcast scene and the preview scene. Some people think that they're primed to go really well under the radar. Some people are predicting they may not even get out of this group. So where do I see it? I'm somewhere in the middle, and I want to see what they produce in this first game against Albania, because it's not necessarily the result that's going to be key. It's going to be the performance. You would expect Italy to find a way to win here, but I think they're going to be put under the cosh early by Albania. Now, my worry about Albania is their lack of creativity. Despite qualifying top of their group, they produced the lowest XG out of all 24 teams heading to this tournament this summer. So they don't carve out many chances. Italy will fancy their chances of getting past Albania, and they're very skinny to do so, but they may well have to bide their time. I see this being a bit of a slow burner for them. I don't see them walking over Albania and winning 4 or 5-0, like some people are suggesting. I think Albania could quite easily serve it up to them. I could see this being level at the break and Italy finally grind them down with a little bit of quality later on. I also think Spalletti, a very talented tactician, he might need to just get his players in at half-time and tweak a couple of things and rearrange it a little bit to break down this stubborn Albanian side. So the way I want to play this game, and it's tentatively, it must be said, this is my least confident of the 3 selections today, but I do want to go with this to be a draw at half-time and Italy to win at full-time, and that is available 3-1 generally across the board. All bookies have got that price up at 3-1 at the time of speaking. And yeah, just for the reasons given, I do expect Italy to overcome Albania, but I think at 3-1 there's a chance that this is going to be a little bit more of a sticky task than they would like.
Okay, that's the third and final game for Saturday. Before we conclude the video, Matt, we'll get the best bets that you've spoken through there, on screen. I think someone asked us if we could have a more visual representation of the best bets now for these betting briefs that we're doing. Do you want to talk us through each of those again briefly? I know you've spoken about them already.
Yeah, so Hungary will be the strongest selection of the 3. I just think the price is a bit wrong there. I think it's been priced up on their historical performances at tournaments a little bit and experience and things like that, which are all important. But at the end of the day, I just look at the 2 teams. I look at their recent performances. I just think Hungary are a better side. And I think if they handle the emotion of the occasion and they replicate their recent levels, they win that game. So I definitely want to be with them at 5-2. It's a strong bet for me, that. The Spain game, as I say, I think it'll be played in fine margins. There's no real harm done if these 2 draw in this first game, because they'll both fancy their chances of beating Italy and Albania. So no reason for either side to go hammer and tongs. The danger, as always, when you back a 0-0 draw is, an early goal or an early mistake changes the entire crux of the game and kills your bet. So that's why I want to back the draw as my primary selection, to keep it alive regardless of how the game starts out. But if this game is 0-0 at half-time, who really needs to go for it in the second half? Neither of them. There's not going to be many risks taken. And I think football fans, naturally, you're going to look at these games and think, Spain, Croatia, that's the one I want to watch. It could end up being the dullest of the 3 quite easily, I think. But time will tell. Small cover up on the 0-0 as mentioned. And then the draw half-time, Italy full-time. It's a little bit speculative, but at 3-1, I think you get a good run for your money there. I think Albania will be so excited to get back into the tournament scene. And like I said, the connection and the intricacy with Italian football and Albanian football just means they're going to be so fired up. I expect a strong start from them, but I'm not sure they can sustain it. So that's the angle there. And yeah, I'm optimistic we'll end up in front after the close of play.
Great stuff. Thank you, Matt, there. Very well spoken through everything there. Like you said, we said we're going to be doing videos for each of the days. We do daily betting briefings is what we're going to be calling them, both on the YouTube channel and on the website, oddsnow.com as well. So make sure you go over there and check out all of the written content we've produced so far. Lots of team guides, like we said, pieces on individual markets, and you've got all the videos on the channel as well. So be sure to check all of that out. We'll be back soon. I'm sure we will be doing a preview for the games on Sunday. And like we said, all the way through the tournament, there'll be plenty of content. So make sure you subscribe, like the video, and get involved in the comments down below. Let us know what you think. Be kind. It's only our opinion. I think we've had a few already get a little bit carried away. But
yeah, I don't mind a bit of debate, but let's hear your opinions as well. Don't just say it's a rubbish selection. Tell me what yours is, and we'll see who's right at the end of it.
Exactly. We get a bit of dialogue going, a bit of a keep it civil. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Like I said, check out the website and the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.